Hey guys, today I wanted to talk to you really quickly about some ceramic basics. I already showed you what tools you've received in your toolkit, and today I want to talk to you really quickly about these tools that you got in your tool package, and how to keep them from rusting and getting gross, how to also keep this guy from getting nasty. So first things first, your tools came in this tool bag. You also got this little guy. Please make sure you open all of these up and then make sure you never put them back into the Ziploc bag if they are wet or covered in clay, because if you seal this guy up, whatever is in here is going to get nasty and moldy. So leave your tools out until they dry, and then you can put them back into the bag. So that's the first thing, okay? The sponge, if it's even remotely wet and you put it into the bag with the rest of your metal tools, it will rust everything. And although these are your tools to keep, you don't want rusty, nasty tools, okay? Same thing with this guy. This is your piece of canvas. It is meant to protect your clay from sticking to any surfaces in your house, whether it's your kitchen table, countertop, whatever. This piece of canvas is what you're going to build, roll things out on, and kind of genuinely or generally work on, okay? You don't want to put clay directly on the surface of your counter because it will stick. You also don't want to put clay directly on the wooden board and leave it there because the board will sponge all the moisture out of your clay surface, and then you're going to be left with a bone dry project, okay? So this is for building. What you do afterwards is you take a trash bag and actually physically wrap up your clay project so it is not touching the wooden board, so it is not touching the piece of canvas. You want it to just be wrapped up and airtight, okay? So that's the first thing I wanted to talk to you guys about: keeping your tools clean, keeping them from dry, getting rusty or getting ruined, okay? The second thing I want to talk to you about are the basic rules of working with clay. So on our school website, we do have 10 basic rules of ceramics. The first thing it says, clay must be thoroughly covered up with a plastic bag to keep it from drying out. Like I just said, if your clay is touching the wooden board or left in the open air, it will become dry. Okay. The second thing is that dust can be harmful to you if you're exposed for long periods of times. So please try to keep your area at home clean. Clay scraps off the floor, clean everything with a wet sponge. You can use this one if you don't have one at home. Just make sure you keep your countertop or your desk at home clean. You don't want to keep breathing it in. Okay. Clay should never be thicker than your thumb. So when you're slipping and scoring things together, if your clay walls are thicker than your thumb, you're going to have to use one of these scoops right here, double-ended loop tool to hollow things out, okay? In order for your clay to stick together, it's got to be scored and slipped together while the clay is still moist or plastic, okay? If you wait past that leather hard consistency, you're not going to be able to add things together. Remember, scratch, wet with slip, blend, okay? Wedge clay in order to remove air bubbles, achieve uniform consistency, and line up your clay particles. So when you've got your scraps saved, like I do in this Ziploc bag, I have to wedge it up before I reuse it, okay? Any trapped air can cause clay to explode. That's why hollowing out forms and wedging clay is super important. So if you do hollow stuff out, make sure you use your pin, your needle tool right here to put an air hole to the outside world so things don't explode. Okay. Another rule is to not glaze the bottom of a piece. That's why we put a foot on the bottoms of our pinch pots so it doesn't get stuck to the table. Always rinse off your piece before glazing because you get dust on it, and dust creates a barrier, and then you cannot get your glaze to stick to your project. Never handle your project with one hand. Always be very careful, especially you guys in beginning. Never grab things by the side and carry them around, or pick things up by the handle because it'll fall off. And then lastly, when you are in person, please never handle another person's projects. Bone dry clay is very fragile, so you always want to be super careful. Hopefully that gives you a little bit more information about how to keep your tools properly wrapped up, and a little bit more about our rules for clay. Also, clay can't freeze, so don't leave it in your car because bad things happen and then you have to recycle the whole thing. Have a good day.